So this week's episode of Superman and Lois kind of touched on everyone. We got Lucy Lane returning into the show, which is kind of good because she's been missing for about half the season at this point. We also got quite a bit of backstory on her and how she ended up joining the cult. But overall, it feels like this episode really did touch on every character in a big way. And I really do appreciate that the show is kind of moving at a pace now this season, that we're getting movement on every single storyline in every single episode rather than going weeks without touching on certain characters like we did with John Henry Irons, with Kyle and stuff like that for a while. So it's good to get that now. The flashbacks this episode that we got really did focus on Lucy and sort of stuff like that, and I think that was necessary to get. It's definitely important that we got that sort of stuff, but honestly I feel like it would have been more important to get flashbacks on Ali, because I feel like Ali is still sort of an underwhelming villain, and in this area of the show where we still don't really know a whole lot about her motivations, but how she became involved in everything she is involved in, it feels like there's a big chunk of what we know about the character just missing, and I feel maybe it would have been more important for us to get an episode devoted to flashbacks about her than an episode devoted to flashbacks about Lucy. Like, the way I would have done it would have been do the Lucy flashbacks earlier on in the season and do the Ali villain flashbacks now, because we only have 2 episodes left of the season, so I don't really think that we're going to be getting flashbacks to Ali or really learning a lot about her origins or her real backstory. So that's kind of frustrating that they're probably going to leave us with not really knowing much about that character. But on top of that, the show is actually on break now again for a week. We've had 2 episodes, so last week and this week. Now we're having next week off with no new episodes. Then the show will be back on June 22nd or June 21st, I'm not entirely sure, with episode 14, which is the penultimate episode, and then the following week will be episode 15, which is the final. The final is actually called Waiting for Superman, which I think is a great title for the episode, but it's still kind of frustrating the show has been doing this. Not getting too much into theories or anything like that, but my personal hope is that somehow the reason why the show has been delayed an extra week for the final is because they want it to line up with the Flash final, because we've known for a while now that there's going to be a character showing up in the Flash season final that we're supposed to be surprised about. I know a lot of people have been suggesting it's probably Max Mercury, because Max was referenced in a recent episode of The Flash, but the people involved in the show have said that it's a character that we'll be surprised to see, and that it's somebody we will recognize, like we have seen before on the show. We haven't seen Max Mercury on the show yet, so I don't think it's going to be Max Mercury, but I think that a possibility of it being Superman is maybe likely, and the fact that they've delayed the Superman and Lois final now to line up so that Superman and Lois final airs the night before the Flash final kind of has me thinking maybe it will be something to do with Superman and Lois. That would be fantastic. On top of that, it's the same week that the final issue of the Earth Prime comic comes out, so I think that, I know a lot of Arrowverse things are lining up where it's going to be a little unfortunate now if there's nothing, and they've also said that there's going to be an Arrowverse reference, or at least clearing up why there has been no other Arrowverse references in the Superman and Lois final, so it all does kind of line up that there's a lot of moving pieces, so fingers crossed we're going to get something there. But yeah, overall this episode was kind of another mixed bag for me, I'm not gonna lie. Last week was also a mixed bag where some stuff I loved, some stuff I wasn't crazy about, and I feel the very same this week. There was a lot of stuff I loved and there was a lot of stuff that I wasn't crazy about. But the thing is that last week I could very much divide what I liked and what I didn't like up between the storylines. It's like last week I didn't really like what they were doing with Lana, but there wasn't also a lot I liked that they were doing with Lana last week. This week I feel like there's something I liked and something I didn't like kind of in every storyline. Like, for example, the Lana Lang, the Kyle and the Sarah stuff. There was a lot I actually did really like about that storyline this week, but there's still a lot that I wasn't really vibing with that much. For example, the very first scene with Lana and Sarah, where Sarah is kind of celebrating her music stuff and Lana immediately kind of goes to, oh, fuck Kyle, kind of thing. That was the scene where I was like, I don't like that. I don't like how we couldn't just have a nice scene without it becoming this dramatic thing. And I think that that's kind of a big reason why this season has been a little disappointing for me, is that it feels like we can't just get these little nice scenes. There always needs to be an undertone of something dramatic that needs to happen that to make the scene sort of be important. But a scene doesn't need to be important. Like, a scene can just be this nice little thing with 2 characters talking or 2 characters celebrating something. Thankfully, this kind of got remedied in the last part of the episode, where Lana said to Kyle that she felt like everything she's doing lately is the wrong move, and I feel like that was a way to remedy not just what she's done in all the other episodes, but also what she did in early this episode. So I did really like that, and I think that that scene with Lana and Kyle was great. And I also thought the diner scene with the whole Lang family was really good as well, or the Lang Cushing family. So I really did enjoy that, and I think that hopefully this is an indicator that we've kind of wrapped up a lot of the Lang Cushing drama, and that we're going to sort of be moving into an area now where they're not really, everything doesn't need to be so dramatic with their characters for the rest of the season. It is also possible that they're not going to be much present in the rest of the season, and that's why they've been wrapped up now, so that the last 2 episodes are very much focused on everything to do with the inverse world and everything to do with Ali and Superman and all sort of that stuff. I really did like what they did with John Henry and Nat in this episode. I thought that at first I was a little annoyed that they were going the route of John Henry obviously being annoyed that Nat is creating a suit and is doing her own thing, but like, you gotta remember that Natalie was very much on the front lines almost on her original Earth, along with John Henry Irons. Like, they were risking their life every single day creating stuff to fight Superman. And I know that Natalie wasn't necessarily out there fighting Superman with John Henry Irons, but she was very much like, doing stuff that if Superman was to find out, he probably would have killed her. So I think that it was kind of a little weird for John Henry to be like, no, you're only 15, you can't be involved in this stuff, where she's already been involved with this stuff for quite a while. And I still kind of get it from, like, a perspective of he doesn't want to have her involved in this world, that she doesn't have to be. Like, on her original Earth, she kind of had to be involved in it, whereas now she doesn't really have to be. Now she kind of can have a life that isn't involved in that sort of stuff, and she'll be fine. But still, I thought it was a little weird for them to go that route, where I feel like John Henry could have been a little bit more understanding at first. Thankfully, the episode though went the route of they both teamed up to help stop Ali and to help save Superman, and I did like that. I like that there was a lot of parallels as well, whereas Natalie at the beginning of the season absolutely hated Superman, and now she saved him. And then John Henry standing over Superman watching him when he was being operated on, the same way that Clark was kind of present, or Superman was kind of present when John Henry was being operated on in the beginning of the season. I feel like the show always kind of does that, especially in season 1 as well. They did a lot of things where things kind of come full circle. One of my favorite instances of that is in the pilot for the show, when John Henry, when he was still the villain, he kind of stabs Superman with kryptonite and Superman falls out of the sky. Then we had the same kind of thing in this season 1 final, whereas John Henry's the one who's falling out of the sky. So the show has always kind of been good with those things, with those, like, everything connecting. There was a lot of really good Clark and Jordan and Clark and Jonathan scenes this episode. I thought that the Clark and Jonathan scene, where Jonathan was kind of going, "Are you mad at me?" and Clark's like, "No, but I just have to let you make your own mistakes." That was probably my favorite scene of the episode. I thought that the way that scene was done was just fantastic. I think the dialogue in it was great. It just felt really, really, really impactful and really, really full of heart. And then later on with Jonathan being kind of shafted once again, whereas he's left to do his chores while Superman and Jordan go off to train to do superpower stuff. I get why Jonathan is constantly, like, annoyed. I still think some of the drug stuff at the beginning of the season was a little stupid, but I get why he is the way he is in the show. And I think that, at some point Clark has to kind of go, maybe we shouldn't be throwing this in Jonathan's face all the time. Maybe we should be throwing that Jordan has powers in his face all the time. Maybe we should kind of, be a little bit more secretive about this. Not even secretive, just a little bit more subtle about it, where you're not making it obvious you just came back from the Fortress of Solitude. But the Jordan and Clark training stuff was great. I loved how Clark said he used to call it his Kessel Run, and Jordan doesn't know what that is, and Clark's is annoyed at it, because Star Wars, which Jordan has not seen Star Wars. Why does that absolutely shock me? I feel like if any character on the show would have seen Star Wars, it would have been Jordan, or would have known what the Kessel Run is, it would have been Jordan. But anyway, I love how happy they both were though when Jordan was able to fly and all that, and I think that this is a big step. It's about time that this kind of happened. It's also almost right around the exact moment that Oliver and trained Roy in Arrow, which was in season 2 episode 12, and we're on season 2 episode 13 of Superman and Lois, so almost the exact episode, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that was really, really fun and enjoyable, and I thought that the episode also kind of amplified everything up to 11 really quickly in the last act. I think that the episode was kind of going at a pretty, I wouldn't say slow pace, but it was kind of not going too fast, and then out of nowhere, the episode just shot with Superman getting to Ali, with Chrissy calling the DOD, which then looped in John Henry and Nat. I thought that was really well done, how much the episode escalated, and I took me into it immediately. Like, it wasn't like I wasn't interested in the episode, but it definitely sucked me in almost straight away. So Like, they really did manage the pacing super well at that point. Speaking of that kind of stuff, I feel a bit weird on the Lucy character. I'm hoping that Lucy is finally now fully committed to being on the good side, because her constant flipping this season has been a little bit annoying, and I feel like it's not doing the characters any favors. I think that they've made Lucy a little bit of a bad character. Now, obviously, she was kind of sucked into this cult because she felt sort of inadequate compared to Lois, but I still think that doesn't justify a lot of what she's doing. There's also a lot of parallels between Lucy and Jonathan, where both characters feel sort of inadequate, and that led Jonathan to doing some stupid things, and that has led Lucy to doing some stupid things. The thing is, though, I feel like Jonathan has been much more mature as a character about all of this stuff. Like, he realized he was in the wrong almost immediately, and then he remedied that. Lucy has been, 5 years now involved in the cult, and she still hasn't exactly realized she's wrong. I still think she believes somehow she has been in the right, and that's kind of makes Jonathan look like a better maturity level than her, which is kind of weird. There was stuff with Chrissy in this episode, which was pretty cool. I really liked the scene where she was looking through Clark's resume in the car, and then she was like, this is going to be an awkward conversation, kind of insinuating that she's not going to hire Clark. Like, I know, that's what I got from the scene, is that she was saying this is going to be an awkward conversation because she's going to have to tell him he didn't get the job, or he's not getting the job. Which I kind of do want Clark to get that job, just because I think we need to bring back the Clark investigative journalism stuff, because, you know, he was a big part of the Daily Planet. So I feel like we should bring him back to doing that stuff here in Smallville, because I maybe I'm missing a scene, but I don't think there have been any scenes in this season that have focused on that or that have included that. But yeah, Ali is now merging the universes, so we really are getting a lot of progress in that plot. It's setting us up for the final 2 episodes. I wish we didn't have a break, but I am hoping that the final 2 episodes are really good, because this season is still, I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's going to be a season that I have to binge when I'm done to kind of really figure out where I feel on and how I kind of overall like the season, but I would be very surprised if this season changed much, in my opinion, on the rewatch. Definitely could be that the breaks have just affected completely how I view it, but I don't know, I still feel very much that this season has been a huge step down from season 1. But how did you feel about Superman and Lois this week? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know all your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and all of that, and I hope you have a great day.